Hey guys, this is Mr. Smith reporting live. We are doing our 1.7 video, so let's go ahead and get started. Make sure you go ahead and write at the top of your page 1.7 the distributive property. So what are we doing today? We're going to use the distributive property to simplify expressions. I almost said expressions. I didn't. Here we go. Let's move on. We've got things to do, places to go. Well, we're not going anywhere. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to go and we're going to write all of this down, I know. To solve problems in mathematics, it is often useful to rewrite expressions. So we're going to write them differently, in simpler form. The distributive property, keyword, that's what we're doing. Illustrated by the area model below, which you are writing. You're writing all of that I just highlighted there. Is another property of real numbers that helps you to simplify expressions. So take a look here. We have 8 on this piece and x plus 5. So this is kind of using algebra tiles, is what this is modeling. And we have 8 by x wide and 8 by 5 wide. So instead of 8 times x plus 5, we could show this as 8 times x and 8 times 5. So distributive property is taking something and it's distributing it to different people, or handing it off to different people. So that's what our distributive property is. So you wrote that down. We're also going to write this down, but you don't have to write every single piece here because it's kind of repetitive. So I'm okay with you just writing the first line, and the first example is fine with all this up here. So just this part is fine. So again, distributive property, we could say A, B plus C, and we distribute it in. If you look at the examples below, you can write them down if you want, but you don't have to. But the 3 examples below are showing a similar way. We can still distribute it if it's in front or behind, but when it's right next to that parentheses, we're going to multiply it into each piece on the inside. Okay? All right, let's take a look at a couple examples. Okay, so here's our first example. What is the simplified form, so example 1, of 5x plus 7. So all we have to do is, it's right next to it, we're going to distribute it, so it's going to multiply to each piece. We're going to get 5x, there's a plus sign in between, and then we're going to do 5 times 7, which is going to give us 35, and that is our final answer right there. And look at, they even have, let's see, correct answer, where does it pop up? It pops up right over where I wrote it down. What were the answer choices? Plus 7, see, they didn't distribute it to the 7, so that was a no-go. They forgot to distribute the 5 to the x, so that's a no-go. And over here, we don't know what they did. Okay, moving on. Let's go to our example problem number 2. Okay, so problem number 2, write this out. What sum or difference is equivalent to this? So this is kind of weird. We got 5 on the bottom, and it's dividing both pieces. So we could actually rewrite this as, instead of dividing by 5, we could have it, so distributive properties when we multiply through. So instead of dividing by 5, you can actually multiply by 1/5. It's the same thing. And we get 7x plus 2. Okay, so we actually pulled that piece out, which is kind of interesting. And now we can distribute it like this, so we can actually separate these two. 7x, it gets divided by 5, plus 2, which gets divided by 5. And again, this process right here is a very important algebra trick that we can do to help us simplify something by pulling it out and using the distributive property to simplify it and break it down. Okay? Let's look at another problem. All right, problem number 3. That's 3, there we go. What is the simplified form of negative 2y minus 3x? So this negative is not a number that we see. Actually, it is kind of a number. It is a negative 1. So it's like we're distributing a negative 1. So if it's a positive 2y, you multiply by a negative, it's going to become negative 2y. So can A be the correct answer? No. Could B? Yes. Could C? Yes. Can D? No. So we know that 2y is going to become negative. Now we see we have a subtraction sign here and a 3x. Well, that 3x is almost like it's a negative 3x. And a negative times a negative makes a positive. So this is actually going to come out to be a positive 3x. And our correct answer is C. All right, so make sure you wrote all that down, showed your work. What's up, what's up, what's up? and one more example, but there's 2 parts. Okay, so this is, we'll call this 5a. What is the simplified form of 8x squared plus 2x squared? Well, we are not using distributive property here. We are going to actually combine these terms together. And what you can see is they have the exact same variable of x squared and x squared. So when you have the same variable, the number in front, which we call the coefficient, we can actually go ahead and put those together. So all we have to do is say, what's 8 plus 2? That's going to be 10. And then we can leave on our variable. As long as they're the same, that works. Let's take a look at our second problem. And here we see we have the same variable again, y, so we can actually combine these. So we're going to do 3 minus, there's nothing here, but that implies there's a 1 right there. So 3 minus 1, it's 2y. And there we go. And let's just see what their answer choices were. 2, the y's would not cancel out, they're still there. It's like you had 3 yo-yos, and I took away 1 yo-yo. You still have 2 yo-yos, you don't just have 2. So the y stays. Okay, so that doesn't make any sense. You can't do that. The 3 was positive, and you're only taking 1 away. I'm not going to get negative yo-yos. 4 yo-yos? What the heck? I took 1 away. You didn't get an extra 1. So C would have to be our answer. All right, guys. Peace out. I will see you. Hasta.